Welcome to Ageless Blessings with Brenda Pierce. You've come to the right place for candid conversations, inspiration, and empowerment. Join me with my very special guests as we bring you media that matters on the Divas That Care network. For more about the Divas and to listen to various podcasts, visit www.divasthatcare.com. Now let's get on with the show. Welcome to Ageless Blessings Radio with my very special guest, Cali Gilbert, and we will join the conversation already in place.
International bestseller, and she's also been a magazine publisher and an award-winning photographer, a figure skater, and so much more. And so Cali knows all about personal transformation and what it takes to live and manifest a life of bliss, and that's what today's show is all about. And with Cali, we are going to be sharing some very deep secrets and truths. They're going to help empower and electrify, evolve you into the next level of your life experience. And so it is a real pleasure to have her here with us today. So Cali Gilbert, as I said, is the bestseller author of the It's Simply book series. She has published several books on her own and now serves other writers through her company, Serendipity Publishing House. Cali's photography has been exhibited all across the United States and beyond. And she holds a master's degree in sport management and has traveled the globe as a former figure skater as well as a magazine publisher, as I've mentioned before. She is a resident of Santa Monica, California. Cali enjoys serving her community, especially women in transition and youth programs. To learn more about this amazing woman, please visit CaliGilbert.com. I wanted to put the triple W in front of there, and it's an assumed thing, that's for sure. Cali is launching a wonderful membership site based on the work of Serendipity, and we would love for you to check it out. So hang tight, and here's Cali. Hi, Cali. Welcome to the show.
Hi, Brenda. Thank you so much for having me. I'm so happy to be here.
I am so excited to have you here, too. And, you know, let's talk about the serendipity of our connection. Basically, you know, if it wasn't for Facebook and social media, you and I would never have connected.
It's true.
And that is serendipity to me. Yeah. You know,
yes.
And, you know, and I'd love for you to tell us a little bit more about your life. You know, you were a really award-winning figure skater, and you've had this amazing career that took you all around the world to various skating competitions, and I'd love to hear a little bit about your career as a figure skater.
Sure. So I started skating when I was 6 years old. I grew up actually in Toronto, Canada, and I skated out of the Mariposa Figure Skating Club and traveled all over the globe. Didn't really get as far as I had hoped with my skating due to injury, but was able to really experience amazing things and make, you know, lifelong friendships and colleagues, and it's just really an amazing experience. And it taught me a lot. I think it really developed everything that I learned through that process was really great for what I needed in life, and the discipline and determination and never give up attitude really started with my skating.
That's amazing. I, too, love figure skating and did that as a child. Never got to the competitive level like you did, but as an adult, I look forward to skating season, which will start next week, and I go to the adult skate sessions, and I can still get my leg up there and do spirals, believe it or not. So I know the love of skating opened up this world of transformation in that you were able to travel. And I'm sure that once you got into the stages and trying to decide where your path was going to take after skating, probably wanted you to continue to travel the world, and as such probably was the inspiration for your later career moves.
It was interesting because I've been a writer and a photographer my entire life, and when I stopped skating, I actually went into publishing and published the first Canadian figure skating magazine. It was all about figure skating in Canada from the novice through the professional level. And I was able to travel quite extensively to all major competitions and exhibitions for the magazine. And I had a staff of 6 people working with me throughout Canada, which was very exciting. And it was definitely something that would prepare me for being an author. I mean, publishing a magazine, publishing a book are 2 completely different animals. And so I definitely needed to learn quite a bit when I went into book publishing. But it was good to have that experience, and especially the journalism experience, I would say, of knowing who to contact and being comfortable in that role of reaching out to people and really to those that I wanted to mentor me and to teach me about the publishing industry and when it came to books. So definitely something that was very important in my transformational journey.
Wow, that's so true. And it's all about, the technical stuff we can learn, but it's the connections and the contacts and all those things are really what are the career movers. Isn't that not true?
Absolutely, absolutely. And I've actually been toying on writing an article. I actually write for the Huffington Post. And the next article I think I'm going to write is specifically on that, the development of relationships and the importance of relationships and how that really is one of the keys to success. Because, like you said, it's all, you can learn the technical things, but really it's learning from those, being mentored by those who have reached, the point of success that you want to reach, and really modeling yourself after them is very, very important, I think.
Absolutely. And the thing is, though, and one connection leads to another, and there is this beautiful synergy that can happen, and it isn't like you have one contact and you use them and then that's it. It's all about massaging and nurturing and continuing to have these great relationships, because you just never know when you need them or when they need you, because eventually as you develop your craft. Yeah.
And I think that's the most important key, is to really look at these relationships as not so much of what they can do for you, but what you can do for them. And that's how I've approached every relationship in the publishing industry when it came to wanting to publish a book. I looked at, who was it that was doing what I wanted to do. Like Jack Canfield has been my mentor for the last 3 years. And it was really, I saw what he had done with the Chicken Soup for the Soul series, and I knew that when I started writing my books that I wanted to do something similar, and that's why I created the It's Simply series. And just by learning from him, but I would always come from an approach of, how can I help you? How can I serve you? How can I support? And in doing so, he was so much more receptive, I think, than if you just went to someone and said, okay, now what can you do for me?
Yeah. Yeah, and that's a beautiful way of looking at it, and actually serves the greater consciousness and greater purpose, and can create more joy and bliss in the creative process, and make it much more smoother and effortless, because you are in a place of service, and that's what I love about what you do.
Yeah, and I think that has really started early for me in my life. I was very blessed growing up as a child that one of my dear friends was Cal Ripken Jr., the Major League Baseball star. And when he retired, he directly went into service and created Ripken Baseball and the Ripken Foundation. And I saw what he did, and I really was inspired by all the work that he did. And I knew that was something that I wanted to do, too, not only as a former athlete, but just as a person. It was something that was very close to my heart. And so everything that I have done in all of my work, and especially now with my books, is to make sure there's a nonprofit connection tied to it, and so that I'm in a place of service with all the work that I'm doing. And not only am I sharing my gifts and my talents, but I'm also making a difference in serving others at the same time.
Mm-hmm. Beautiful, beautiful. Can you tell us about your nonprofits that you're representing these days?
Sure.
What is it that really lights your lamp?
Yeah. So right now, youth is really close to my heart. And I was director of special events with Boys and Girls Clubs in New York before I actually moved to California. And that was my dream job, because I loved being able to see these children, really have these dreams and not really know how to go about, achieving them or having the financial or emotional support to do so. And so being able to really, get out there and inspire kids and saying, what is your dream? How can I help you? You can make it happen, and really, show them that it is possible. Some kids, they see things and then they don't think it's possible. And it's like, yes, it is, but it's just a matter of really having that support, to back them up and saying, yes, and let me show you how you can do this. So anything to do with kids and helping them fulfill their dreams, helping them live life to their fullest potential is really what I'm passionate about. And then another thing that I like working with, especially now through my Serendipity book, is women in transition, women who are going through so many different things. It could be divorce, it could be job loss, but it could also be like an empty nester, a woman who the kids are gone, they're grown up, and now it's like, okay, it's my turn, my time. What do I want to do with my life? What is my passion? And really, encouraging and supporting them in fulfilling that dream and that goal. So that's what I'm really passionate about.
Those are wonderful, wonderful things to put your energy behind. And it's true. A lot of people, a lot of women in particular, put their passions on hold. And it doesn't mean that their families and being the mom and carpooling and all that stuff was not their passion. But then when those stages are gone, it is really necessary to reinvent ourselves in new and delicious ways. And so I love that you are representing that generation for sure. And
yes,
helping them to relaunch themselves in new and exciting ways.
I love that. And I love just really seeing the look on their faces when they're like, oh, wow, I can dream. It is my time. And so it's exciting to see, what can I come up with? What is it that I really, really want? And then help them achieve that.
Oh, that's so beautiful. Beautiful, beautiful work. So, Cali, I really honor that you do all this wonderful stuff, and the philanthropy piece is there, and it just really, makes you feel full circle in all that you do, in not only being creative but giving back and shining the light for others. And I love that too. I love shining the light and helping others to get their voices out there. And so I know what it feels like. It's just so good. It's such a great feeling. So, Cali, what I'd like to do is our show is all about developing a life of bliss. And so moving into that, we hear about all the wonderful things that you do for Bliss. And now, as part of the Give Back, I'd love for you to get into telling us about how to create a bliss-filled life and your beautiful 4-step process that you have created.
Yeah, so my book is called, it's simply Serendipity, 4 Steps to Manifesting a Life of Bliss. And those 4 steps actually came to me through probably the most difficult year of my life. It was 2011. I had graduated with my master's degree at the end of 2010 from the University of San Francisco, and I had this extensive background in event management and a huge network, and I really thought that I was set to go, that I could write my ticket to success. And what I didn't realize, though, it was the depth of the recession, and I couldn't find work, and I didn't really know what to do. I spent quite a few, extensive months looking for work and sending out resumes and nothing happening. And at one point, someone told me, numerous times actually, not to put my master's degree on my resume. And I thought to myself, okay, this can't be good, And so one day after, looking for, sending out, I can't even tell you how many resumes, I just went outside one day and said, okay, show me what to do. And the answer that I received was, do what you love. And when I thought about it and really got, to the core of what my true passions were, it was the writing and the photography. And so I said, okay, this is what I love. How can I make this work? And it really was a leap of faith because, I had to basically start over. And 2011 began with massive loss. I actually was pregnant when I graduated from university, and I didn't realize it, and I miscarried the child. And that's how 2011 began. And it really started this spiral of loss in that year. And in that year, I ended up losing, my car died, the father of the child left me, my money ran out, and I lost my home. So that was 2011. And I thought, okay, well, so much for starting over. We're really starting over. And so when 2012 began, I was faced with the decision, and it was a hard decision of, do I give up or do I start over? And I knew, I was in the depths of despair. I was grieving. I had, just lost everything. I really didn't know what direction to go in. And at this crossroads of, what do I do? But I realized that I wasn't done yet. There was something bigger out there for me to do. There was something more in my life, and I wasn't finished. And I realized I consider myself an artist. I always have. I come from a family of artists. I've been very blessed. All the men in my family are artists.
Nice.
And I thought, okay, well, if I view myself as an artist, I have to I have a blank canvas. I'm given a blank canvas to really create the life of my dreams, and I have the power to do that. So what do I want my life to look like? And that's really where it all began and how the 4 steps came about. And the first step is to set a clear intention for what it is you want. And so with my blank canvas, I thought, okay, well, there's 3 things that I want that were very important to me. The first one was I was living in Sausalito, California. That was my soul's home. I had been there for a long time. My family, our friends were there, colleagues were there. I wanted to stay there. So I said, I need to stay in Sausalito. I didn't care if I had to pitch a tent in the park as long as I was in Sausalito.
Right.
And number 2 was I wanted to find a part-time job that would pay my bills but would allow me the flexibility to follow my passion, the writing and the photography. That was very important to me. I didn't want to have to give up that dream, just to make a living. Mm-hmm. And then number 3 was I wanted to wake up every single day and do what I loved, which was the writing and the photography. And by setting those intentions and being very clear about what it was I wanted, I actually manifested all of it within 2.5 months.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Wow. That's amazing.
And it was pretty amazing. Yeah, pretty amazing.
Yeah.
But it started with getting very clear on what I wanted. And, and not saying, oh, well, let's see, I want some money or I want a job. I was very clear. And I think that's very crucial to, when you set any intention, to try to be as specific as possible.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Should I go on to all of them at first, or do you have any questions?
Well, I just wondered, when people are trying to get clear, even let's break that down just a little bit more, because clarity, like you're saying, specifics, and to me, that means defining everything right down to the single most hair on the head of whatever, kind of thing. Yeah. Were you that clear, or can you describe to us the process of clarity that you may have used?
Yeah, well, I also think it's important to write it down. I write everything down, and I think when you write down intentions, it adds some sort of strength to it, energy to it. That it's like, yes, I'm really serious about this. It's not an idea that's just floating around in my head that I'll get to one day. This is, I mean business. So I think that's very important. And yes, I think the more specific, the more clear you can become, the better it is. And I found that when I do ask for certain things and I'm not very clear, the timing might be off. I might have to wait longer, or I might have to turn on. Okay, wait a second. Why isn't this happening? And it's like, oh, okay, well, I wasn't specific. So it really, I think it is important to do that.
Right. And, some people do other processes as well, like meditation or, some kind of process. Do you also do a meditation process with? I do.
Yes. I actually meditate twice a day, in the morning when I wake up and at night before I go to sleep. And it varies. It depends on what's going on in my life. I have various meditations that I listen to, and they're very, it could be on abundance, it can be on clarity, and getting that, clarity of what you're looking for. But yes, and it's very important, and I think meditation has been huge for me, because I started it during 2011 when I was going through all of that turmoil. And I really think it did help me get through, because it was something that was daily. It was, it became a habit, Okay. And I saw how things changed if I didn't do it, and And so it was very important, and I still do it. I think it's very important in my life.
Well, yes, and not only is it great for the meditative process that you are intending it for, but also there are side benefits as well, like better health, better sleep, better better choices in nutrition, and so I'm sure, did you see that as well in your own life?
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, there was, especially that first time of going through, the first 7 weeks of not having a home was probably the most difficult of my life, because I really was in a state of survival mode, and trying to understand what was going on in my life and how could this possibly happen to me. Really not looking after my health and not looking after, eating correctly. It was like wherever I could lay my head, and then wherever I could find, a place to eat. And I remember when I was at that crossroads of really, do I give up? I really feel my body showing me, and what I realized that I had not had a home. I probably had only drank like a gallon of water in that entire time.
Oh, wow.
And, and I went to yoga class. This was the thing. I didn't have a home, but I was scraping up like $15 a week so that I could go to yoga class, because it was my 1 hour of peace, and to escape this reality that, I was living. And I remember my yoga instructor, when I told him, I said, I feel my body shutting down. He goes, and he's like, well, are you eating well? Are you drinking water? And I was like, oh, yeah, I guess that probably would help, And then I just started drinking as much water as possible. Yeah, so absolutely. And that's the thing, is it really, it makes you take that time, that quiet time, to think about what it is that's really going on in your life.
Very, very important. So I also want to ask, too, I want to go back to that time, because, a lot of people, I know Lorraine Cohen says you have to have a breakdown before you have a breakthrough, and this was obviously your time of total breakdown. What was your level of gratitude at that time?
Oh, man. I mean, it was incredible, because I remember one incident for sure that I actually talk about in the book, and I say I went to the ATM to withdraw $20, and the receipt $1.83. And I remember walking down the street in Sausalito and looking at this receipt and thinking, $5 in the tank, but I'm happy, because I'm living in Sausalito, and I am doing what I love, and so I don't have any money, but I'm happy. And that meant everything. And I think that was like such a shift in mindset right there, that it isn't all about money and possessions. And, it's really about what is bliss for you personally. And I think it's different for every person. It's just a matter of, to really ask yourself that question, what is bliss?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and coming from a place of gratitude for even what you don't have as opposed to what you do have really can make a huge energy shift for the consciousness and the manifestation piece, for sure. So it's really, really great for you to share that piece with us, and I really appreciate that, because most people don't like to talk about their down times or their bad times, but yet that's so foundational to where you are today. And
absolutely, absolutely. And I think, too, what's really important is you mentioned, having, practices like meditation and things like that. And what I have developed over the last couple of years is a gratitude session. And so literally the moment I open my eyes in the morning, I do a gratitude session. And the very first thing I am grateful for is my breath. And I don't think, it's like the simplest of things, it's like when you lose everything, your mindset shifts, you start seeing things in a completely different way, and so every morning it's thank you for my breath, thank you for my 5 senses, for my optimal health, for the bed. I mean, I was never so happy to see my bed again after, going a total 12 months without a home, And so really things that, sometimes you take advantage of, and then it's like, oh, yes, I so love my bed,
Well, that's awesome. That is truly awesome, and what a blessing it is to be able to recruit and regroup and be able to redesign your life from the bottom up. And so I'd love to hear a little bit more about your sessions, your bliss development tips that you have for us today.
Yeah. Clear intentions. That's, of course, number one. The second thing you want to do is whatever it is that you want to learn or achieve, whatever your dream is. Like for me, it was to become a published author. That was my number one dream as I was going through all of this. I was like, I want to write a book. I want to publish a book. And so what you want to do is find, people that are doing it, that are successful about it. We had mentioned this before, and really look at them and model them and, look at what they're doing. I mean, a lot of the most successful, authors have gone through multiple failures. I mean, Jack Canfield says himself that, 144 publishers rejected Chicken Soup for the Soul before someone picked it up. And so know that, it doesn't have to happen right off the bat, but if you just keep doing it, doing your part, that's the main thing, So it's really to learn from those, that are doing what you want to do. That's
right.
So that's what I did I basically, researched. When I lost my home, I had my laptop and I had the corner Starbucks, and I spent every day there researching everything I could about transformational authors and personal development and how to publish a book, and really just learned everything I could possibly learn about the publishing industry.
Wow.
Yep.
Well, this is it. Just like Joe Vitale, too. He spent hours upon hours in the public library, homeless. And, so, it's just a matter of, nobody can ever say that there's blocks to prosperity. Even when you have nothing, the corner store, the corner Starbucks, the library.
Exactly.
You have the world in your hands. You really do.
Absolutely. And that was another thing of, I was grateful for the laptop. I was grateful for the Starbucks. I was grateful for the Wi-Fi, It was like all these little things, And then, of course, once I learned all of those things, just like I said, I write everything down. So notebooks after notebooks, just writing everything down. And then what you want to do is you want to implement everything that you've learned. There was an instance in September of 2011 where I was just about everything was gone. I was on the brink of losing my home and didn't have any money, but I received an email from a colleague who was also an author and had published a book called Monetize Your Passion, a Rich German. And I thought, well, that's what I would love to do. That's speaking my language right there. And he had invited me to come down to San Diego to see him speak at an event. It was a publishing event. It was the 21st Century Book Marketing Conference, and Ariel Ford and Mike Koenigs were hosting it. And I thought, well, Rich, I'd love to. I don't have any money. I have no way to get down there. It was like $500 a ticket. I was like, okay, but something inside of me said, Cali, you need to do this. You need to be down there. You need to find a way to happen. And okay, so help me out here, So I thought, okay, how do we do this? So first thing I did was I had the week before I actually had heard Ariel Ford speak on a teleseminar. And she had mentioned that whenever she had events, that she was always looking for volunteers. So I thought, well, hey, I've got event management experience. Here we go. So I sent her an email that I received this invitation to come. I'm, up and coming author and just, want to publish my first book. And, I know I could learn so much from this event. She emails me back and says, of course, and here's my contact information for my, event manager. So, all right, we can get into the event. Now, how do we get from San Francisco to San Diego?
Right.
Okay? Right. So at this point, my car had died, so I didn't have a car, but I still had a home, so I had a parking place. So I rented out my parking place.
Oh, wow.
To a friend of mine who lived on a houseboat and had 2 cars and only allotted space for 1. So I said, hey, want to use my parking space? Sure, $150, Bought my plane ticket.
Wow.
Okay, we have plane ticket, we have parking, we have a way to get down there, we have a way. Now, where are we going to sleep? you know. And so I had another friend from church who was with the St. Vincent de Paul Society, and she told me, she says, we can give you $150 to pay a bill. And I thought, okay, credit card bill. That's a credit card bill. It was maxed out, but I still had a credit card, you know. So put $150 towards the credit card. Now I could stay at a hostel, which is what I did. I booked 3 nights in a hostel for $30 a night. And I had $20 left over so I could eat. You know? And so really I had nothing, and I manifested this 3-day, you know, trip to San Diego to this conference where the who's who of the publishing industry would be there speaking. I mean, the John Astoreffs, the Brenda Bouchards, I mean, you name it, they were there. And I went down there and just immersed myself in this atmosphere and just all in, and it was amazing. And literally 1 month later, published my first book.
Oh, my gosh. If that is not serendipity, I don't know what it is.
Exactly. Exactly.
Oh, my.
And that just opened up gates, because once I realized how myself, let's just do it again and do it again. And now 6 books on the market later, I'm now showing other people how to do it.
Wow.
Yeah.
You talk about manifesting at its best. That is really a heartening story of rags to riches. Well, you know, we're always, we're always looking to develop our skill sets, and this was definitely a meant to be thing. Oh, wow.
And that's the thing. I knew in my heart, my soul, I needed to be there. And it was, it was this calling. It says, find a way, Cali, find a way. Okay. Help me find a way. And it did.
Wow.
Yeah. And the greatest part of all, though. Yeah. I mean, the greatest part of all is that now, though, those people that were at that event are now my colleagues, are now supporting my work, are now really, mentors and, just amazing people. And it's just, but it started by going down there and saying, I'm ready to learn. Teach me what you know. And, and it's been incredible.
That is truly incredible, because those are pretty hefty people in the transformational world, in any world, really. They transcend borders and barriers, and to have them on your list, your Rolodex of life, fantastic. Yeah. Good for you. Yeah. Wow. So, with the book publishing that you're doing, is there a special genre that you're working with? Is it transformation, or do you do other types of books as well?
Yeah, so my first 4 books actually are a combination of my writing and my photography. Mm-hmm. So the first book the book that I published after that conference it's simply Sausalito, An Inspirational Journey. And it was basically all the lessons that I learned through that year of transformation, 2011. And it's my original photography, and then just quotes that I made up, of the lessons that I learned. And so it's coffee table photography book. And then after that, I did a book on the Golden Gate Bridge and its 75th anniversary in 2012. I lived 5 minutes from the bridge, and I thought, my gosh, I have loads of photographs of this beautiful bridge. Let me put together a book and do that. And as I was promoting that book, I actually was approached by, second and third generation San Franciscans who were like, you need to do a book on San Francisco. And so that's my third one. And in all of this happening, it was such a blessing to begin with being in San Francisco because of everything that was happening. And then the America's Cup, which took place last year. The team from Oracle Racing Team USA started practicing in 2012 on the Bay. And so I thought, well, here's what my gosh, this combines all my passions, sports and writing and photography and kids and everything in one ball of wax, So I actually went up to people like, how in the world did you end up doing anything with Oracle? And I said, well, I went to Oracle headquarters. I knocked on the door, and I said, this is what I want to do. Who do I need to talk to? Wow. And that's how it started. And luckily I was able to connect with an amazing member of the team who worked for the TV network and put me in touch with development and communication people and published a book. And it was the book leading up to the America's Cup. So it was basically a look at youth sailing in San Francisco. I followed Oracle through the 2 years that they were training for the Cup. And then I actually ended up working at the America's Cup as an event ambassador. And it was amazing. I mean, it was just such an incredible. I was invited to parties and all these things, and it was like, okay, I don't have a home, but I'm going to see I'm going to a party with Oracle. You know? So that was pretty amazing.
Wow.
And then I ended up partnering up with them to do a calendar last year. And a portion of the proceeds went to benefit youth sailing programs through the San Francisco or the Golden Gate Yacht Club. And, youth sailing around the bay. So, and that's the thing, is that's another thing that I've tried to do is the nonprofit tie. So every book has a nonprofit tie to it.
Wonderful. Just, there you go. And you know, and the other thing is you have the confidence. You walked up to Oracle and knocked on their door. Yeah. You know, with
and that's
confidence.
The thing. Yeah, exactly. I knew. I was like, well, the worst thing they can say is no, right?
Right.
But if you don't try, you never know what you're going to get. You know.
That's right,
so
exactly.
Like, okay.
So failing forward, you know, if it didn't work, that's okay. You'd find another way, but you never let it stop to hold you back.
Absolutely. And I think that's, you know, that was another thing with my serendipity book that was really, you know, crucial for me was that I learned through all of this that it didn't hurt to ask. And coming from someone who, a former figure skater, growing up very independent, very, I can handle the whole world by myself, was a very difficult lesson to kind of learn, you know, because it's me, you know, I can do this. And then it got to the point, you know, where I was at rock bottom where I realized, no, I don't. I need help. And it's okay to ask. And so that was another shift in mindset that I think was crucial because that really, you know, once I said, okay, it's okay to ask, it's not a bad thing to ask for help, is where really doors began to open. And when it came to my serendipity book, I went to the top people in personal development to endorse my book. You know, people who had appeared in the movie The Secret and you know, all these huge names and, you know, Marcy Shimoff and Janet Bray Atwood and all these names and said, would you endorse my book? And they said yes.
Aw.
You know.
Wonderful.
And so that's the thing. It's like people are like, oh, my gosh, how do you, you know, get these, you know, people to do this? I'm like, well, you just ask. You know, it's really that simple. You know. It really is that simple.
Yeah. Oh, wow. Yeah. That's very inspiring because, yes, a lot of people think that these experts are on a cloud and they're distant and they're unreachable, and yet they're not. They're just like you and I. They put their socks on in the morning and, you know, have drinks of coffee and they've all been on their own. Yeah, they've all been on their own transformational journey, so they know, you know. Yeah. And they were just wonderful and so willing to offer help and support. And yeah, I'm so grateful for them. Well, I'm just so grateful too, you know, to know that overcoming your own blocks and barriers has gotten you to a place of being able to give back and to give out and to inspire others in such beautiful ways that, you know, can only enrich the tapestry of the life experience for all of us, and that's so exciting. So what I want to know, Cali, is, you know, what is step 3 of the bliss cycle here?
Yeah. So step 3 is to take action, to really take everything that you've learned and to implement it. 4, I believe, is the most difficult of all the steps, and it's the one that I still have trouble with, and that is to let go of the attachment to outcome. It's to
I've
surrender.
Heard that before.
It is,
you know,
to surrender.
It is hard.
Oh, yeah. It's so difficult because I tell people, I said, as human beings, we are naturally born to want to control things. You know, that's just the way it is.
True. Yeah.
That is just the way it is. And sometimes you really just need to let go and have faith that things are going to work out the way they're supposed to, and let it flow. And it's amazing when you do that, you know, to really see how things, you know, happen. I think I'm always telling clients, I say, you know, the number one reason why people don't fulfill their dreams is because they don't see how it's going to happen.
Right.
And I say you don't need to know how. Believe me, I had no idea how I was going to get to San Diego for that conference.
Yeah.
No idea. You know? Rent out a parking space? You know?
Wow.
I mean, all these, I had no idea, but it happened. You know, and because I put out the intention that I was going to get there one way or another. And I didn't worry about how it was going to happen. I just believed that it would. You know, and I think that's so crucial, really, is to let go of the outcome, the attachment to the outcome, because it's really it's. Go ahead.
Yeah, I was going to say the universe really wants to conspire to make our life true. You know, and really, you know, when we let go completely, the universe will bring you that and even more. And that's what's so mind-boggling about all this.
Yes.
Because if it wasn't for letting go and renting out that space, that parking space, and being open to taking some charity to make it happen, you never would have gotten there.
Yeah. And that's the thing. I mean, the biggest example is my home that I manifested, because I lost, the house I lost was an apartment. It was a studio that sat on top of the hill in Sausalito with this view to die for. It was just a gorgeous place. And, you know, it was devastated because I had no idea, you know, where I was going to end up. And the place I manifested was craziness. I mean, this was like straight out. I could have never in my wildest dreams imagined manifesting, like you said, and for something better, right? So I just said Sausalito, okay? I ended up in a place where that was twice the size of the place that I lost. It was a loft. It was 1,200 square feet. The place I lost was 600. I had my own studio. I could walk to the beach, and I paid a fourth of what the rent was of the old place. And I never wrote a rent check because I worked for the company that it was a property management company. I lived in the apartment above the office. So I never paid rent. They took it straight out of my paycheck. And it was craziness. It was like, my friends were like, how in the world did you do this? You know? No idea. You know? No idea. You know? So, yeah. So, I mean, definitely, you know, this or something better.
This or something better. Amen to that, man. Well, this is really, really great, you know, that we're actually, you know, touching beyond, you know, the traditional stories here. You know, you can say, well, you do this, and this, but, you know, knowing that you know, that there's so much more that we can tap into this unbridled sense of what else is possible out there and make your dreams come true. And you're definitely a great representation of that, Cali.
Yeah. No, it's incredible. And I think, too, it's what I've been finding this year, because this year, well, what I'm living now is book 3. It's incredible because in the last few months, I've just manifested, my highest career dreams. I would have never, you know, thought that #1 international bestseller would happen this soon, you know. Right. And so now I'm finding myself going, well, wow, now I need to come up with new dreams, you know, and like big dreams, you know. So now it's, you know, it makes sense I'm living in Los Angeles now, because now it's like everything that's leading me and the connections that I'm making is all really leading me towards the film industry.
Oh, wow.
And it's amazing. Just like, wow, okay. You know? So really, I mean, it's just like the sky's the limit, you know, I think. And it's, you know, that's why I tell people, dream and dream big, you know, because anything is possible, really. Anything is possible.
Wow, that is so, so amazing. So I'd love for you to tell us a little bit about your membership site that you're developing right now. Sure.
Actually, I'm very excited about it. It's called Cali's Crew, and the official launch date is next Monday, the 15th. And what it's going to be is basically I'm taking the 4 steps, and I'm going to hold you by the hand and say, look, what is it that's going on in your life and how can we apply these 4 steps to that situation. So it'll cover every area of your life, being, career or finances or relationships or, all these different things. And, what is it that's going on? How do we apply these to that situation and then move forward from there? And so I'm really excited. It'll be an area where you can collaborate with different people, build accountability partners for your dreams, share your dreams. I think it's so important to share your dreams with others because that really boosts, gives them energy and really helps you get out there and actually manifest them. So, yeah, and what I'm doing this week only, actually, it was going to be $297 a year for a full year of this contact. I'm doing a special where it'll be $97 for a full year.
Okay.
And those who sign up this week will also get a 30-minute coaching call with me so that I can go over, specifically what it is that they're going through and how I can help them.
Right. Wow, that is such a great gift. Either way, for the $297 or the $97, either way, it's a steal of a deal because to have this kind of what I like to call it, and it's similar to what I'm really, really reaching into, is this collaborative cooperation. And It's where we work together and we enrich each other's lives. And
Absolutely.
So you've got this wonderful system you're developing.
Yeah. And that's the thing. It's really about supporting one another and really having, I think it's huge to have accountability partners that, when you share your dream with someone, sometimes, you're going to find people, oh, yeah, right, that's nice, But if you have someone going, okay, I'm excited for you, let's do this, I believe in you, that makes all the difference in the world. And I think it's great to have a community of people to be able to share that with and go through that with, and then celebrate those achievements when you reach those dreams. That's huge.
Mm-hmm. I think that's the thing is people need to realize that the celebration piece is just as important as the creation piece.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm. So tell us how you celebrate your successes and everything you've been doing. What have you been doing that's particular for you?
Well, yeah, it's funny because my bliss is being at the beach. I think I was born to be, I grew up in Canada, but I think I was born to be a California girl. I am probably the happiest and in my total bliss when I'm walking around barefoot in the sand. And so I spend a lot of time by the ocean. The ocean is my soul sanctuary, as I call it. And I really get inspired there. And I could sit all day at the beach and just listen to the waves come in and that is my total bliss. So, yeah, whenever I want to celebrate it, it's there.
That's beautiful. Very, very nice. So do you surf?
I don't, but my partner does, and he has offered to teach me. And so I'm looking forward to doing that, and I would love to do stand-up paddle, and there's so many different things I want to do now. So I'm like, okay, bring it on. Let's do this.
Wonderful. So from the south coast of Ontario, Canada, to the south coast of California, my goodness, what a beautiful transformation your life has taken, and and truly celebrating the serendipity of life, and really stepping into that place of bliss, and really letting the heavens conspire to give you and deliver you the life you desire. It's so beautiful.
Yeah.
That's great. So just recap again the 4 steps, because I think it's very important for our listeners to maybe take these 4 points down and then just run with it in your own mind.
Yeah. So step number 1, set the clear intention for what you want. Very specifically, what is it that you want? Step 2, your dream, what it is that you're looking to do. Find those who are doing it already and learn from them. Step 3, everything that you've learned, implement it. Take action. Move forward. And step 4, let go of the attachment to the outcome. Surrender, have faith that everything is manifesting precisely as it's supposed to.
Wonderful, wonderful. And truly, truly inspired by your story and the sharing of your... it's amazing how in such a short time life can turn itself around into some amazing things when you apply these 4 basic steps. And really, really reach into the fact that all is possible and what else is possible, and really see how your life can change. So, Cali, tell us a little bit more about, you're now in Hollywood and in Los Angeles, and your life is taking on other flavors and that sort of thing. How can people connect with you if they're interested in publishing or talking to you about that arm of business?
Sure. So my publishing house is Serendipity Publishing House. We actually have serendipitypublishinghouse.com. But my main website is CaliGilbert.com. So CALI Gilbert, GILBERT.com. And from there you can find out all the information about the membership site, about the publishing company, about my photography. Everything will be on the main site.
That's beautiful. They're all connected and all ready for anybody who would love to reach forward and develop